Hi, Peggy. We'd like it if you could read a selection from your book, Laura Secord, Heroine of the War of 1812. But before you do a reading, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, to be honest, my publisher was looking for a book about Laura Secord prior to the War of 1812 celebrations.
So it's a much fuller biography than just what she did during the war.
Oh, yes, it is. It's the story of her life.
Okay. I imagine it was an exciting pioneer life.
Yes, it certainly was.
So if you wouldn't mind, could you read a selection, please?
Oh, I'd love to. A thunderous roar of cannon fire before dawn on October the 13th, 1812, shook the ground at Queenston and reverberated through the Secord house. Laura bolted upright. Before she'd opened the door to the children's room, 13-year-old Mary appeared in the hall. "I heard it, Mother. I'll help you get the little ones up." 11-year-old Charlotte was already pulling clothes on over her night shift. Harriet, who was 9, had her face pressed to the window pane, trying to see what was causing all the excitement. "It's another thunderstorm," she decided, when the next flash of light illuminated the escarpment west of the house. Laura lifted Appy from her bed. "Quickly, quickly!" Charles had to be shaken awake. The 3-year-old sat up, rubbing his eyes and scowling. There was no time to grab more than a knitted coverlet. Laura, with 2-year-old Appy on her hip, herded the children out through the back door. They had to get to a safe place, away from the gunfire at Queenston. In the dim light of early morning, the family made its way into the countryside. If only James were with them. Laura had no way of knowing where his company of militia had taken him, and her worst fear was that he would be in the midst of whatever it was that was happening. About a mile from the village, Laura and the children found shelter in a farmhouse where several other Queenston families had gathered. Although the children were safe for now, Laura was sick with worry over James. Throughout the whole day, while the children found ways to amuse themselves, the adults in the house listened to the sound of muskets and cannon. Every so often there would be a lull, and then the noise of gunfire would resume. If only someone would bring some news. Finally, late in the afternoon, there was another lull. Would this one last? They waited. Even the children grew still. When only the occasional crack of a musket was heard in the distance, Laura could wait no longer. Leaving her children in the care of Mary and the other women, she hurried back to Queenston. The air was still thick with gun smoke when she entered her own property through the back. Before she reached the door, a man wearing a bloody bandage on his head came with the news that James had been wounded and was lying on the battlefield at Queenston Heights. With a murmur of thanks, Laura pushed past the messenger. Her heart hammering in her throat, she lifted her skirts and climbed the steep hill to the scene of the battle, each step a prayer that James would not be badly hurt. At the sight of the dead from both sides of the battle, and the moans of the injured and dying amongst them, Laura was filled with horror. She picked her way through all the red and blue uniformed figures on the ground, until at last she found her husband.
Oh, very good.